Welcome, everyone, to the NBA on 2K Sports. With Steve Kerr and Clark Kellogg, this is Kevin Harlan. Doris Burke will be along, too, from the sideline. And now a quick check of our starting lineups for both teams. First for Chicago, D. Rose and Jimmy Butler, the back. And down low, the two-time NCAA champion at Florida, the 6'11 tornado of energy and effort. It's the big man, Joakim Noah. Then it's Dang, and it's Boozer in at the 4 slot. And for Detroit, Jennings out there with Rodney Stuckey. And it's Andre Drummond at 6'11", 275 pounds, the big athletic presence out of the University of Connecticut inside at center. Then it's Smith, and it's Monroe in at the 4 spot.
Well, Andre Drummond, the 9th pick out of UConn in the 2012 draft. He's starting to look like a steal for the Pistons now. Big men with his size and long very often.
And the first time out of the game called for Chicago. And back to Drummond. You talk about his size. A lot of young players need to bulk up. You might argue that he should try not to get any bigger. What do you think?
Well, he's 6'11", 280. I mean, he's not getting overpowered by anybody. So for him...
Here's Boozer. Outside Rose. Shot clock at 5. He feeds it to Dang. Noah. And the shot clock expires. 24-second violation. Chicago on defense. Smith with it. He's picked up by Dang. And there's a foul. It goes on Jimmy Butler. That's his first foul.
Well, that was a quick foul for him there. The refs are certainly calling it close.
Stolen by Noah.
Boy, stingy defense there, denying that pass.
Rose, that's good.
He had his choice of finishing moves there, and you just got to love the fact he went old school with the finger roll. The Pistons have gone now 5 seasons, guys, without posting a winning record, and they're on their 4th coach in that time. Been musical chairs on the bench. Hopefully, they'll be able to find some stability there and some improvement on the court.
And about a minute gone here in the first quarter. Stolen by Rose. And here we go, the Bulls fast break. Here's Boozer. And he's knocked off course by the D. The foul called. He'll shoot free throws. It's going to be on Josh Smith. And the Pistons' long rebuild has hurt attendance. There's no doubt about that. It's dropped over 20% over the last decade. Down around 67% last season. Steve, last in the NBA.
Well, of course, this city has also been hit hard by the economy, Kevin, and that has played a role. But no question, the Pistons' struggles have led to the attendance dropping. Hopefully this team, with the good young talent they've put together, can get things turned around and get these fans back.
Rose goes in. Back to Boozer. Good ball movement here by the Bulls. And there's a whistle that goes against Greg Monroe. That's his first foul. First 1:30 gone here in the first quarter. And there's the call on Andre Drummond. That is his first foul of the game. Here's Boozer. And there's a whistle that goes against Greg Monroe. That's foul number 2 for him.
Tell you what, it's hard to argue with the record for Coach Tom Thibodeau of the Bulls, but the rumor mill has it that the front office hasn't been happy with how hard he's ridden his top players. Luol Deng missed time last season with the hamstring injury. Joakim Noah came down with plantar fasciitis. Hey, those things happen, and I'm not quite sure you can put that at the feet of Tom Thibodeau.
And going back to Tom Thibodeau and that minutes load on his stars, it seems it's getting harder for players to weather big minutes, Steve, these days.
I think it's going to be really interesting going forward to see this Bulls team this year and beyond. Will that wear them down? Their guys play too many minutes. They've had a lot of injuries. I think it's time to scale back a little bit on the minutes played.
Let's catch up with Doris from the sideline.
Kevin, thank you. I spoke with the Pistons head coach for just a bit. Well, he talked about how tough a matchup the Bulls are for any team because of their defense. He said Coach Thibodeau really knows how to prevent an offense from doing what they want. The Bulls are experts in taking away options. If we're going to win, we'll have to find a lot of different ways to get points. Indeed, they will, guys.
Thanks again, Doris.
You know, because Josh Smith doesn't put up huge numbers in any one area of the game, He sometimes gets overlooked for what he does on the floor. He's one of the most versatile big men in the game. I'll tell you what I love about him, his ability to finish even while absorbing contact. He is so strong, even with defenders hanging all over him. He continues to finish at the basket.
You know, one of his other qualities, Steve, is how quickly he starts to break. I mean, he doesn't need numbers either. He can be a coast-to-coast, rack-to-rack guy all by himself.
And, Steve, you mentioned Smith's versatility. Clark, there's no doubt he really fills up a stat sheet.
Points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks. Kevin, he does it all, really, and pretty tough defense, too. An all-star caliber player, there's no doubt about that.
Ran his man straight into that screen to open the lane up for the hoop.
Stuckey drives inside. That falls. Great assist by Brandon Jennings. Stuckey's got his first points of the night.
Man, a gaping hole in the defense that time, and he didn't waste any time getting through it.
And Brandon Jennings gets the whistle that time. That's his first foul of the game, and the bonus will go to the free throw line. Bulls have gone 1 of 3 at the line here.
Well, they were a fairly decent free throw shooting team a year ago, Kevin, about 77% from the line.
And, you know, that just added to their confidence at the offensive end. I mean, knowing that free throw shooting was something they didn't have to worry about gave them a lot of confidence to play freely. Everybody regards Bulls coach Tom Thibodeau as a defensive mastermind, and the numbers back it up again. The Bulls were near the top in every major defensive category, protected the paint, limited fast breaks, and made sure to challenge any shot that went up.
Pistons trailed by 4. Here's Urebko, and he uses the glass on the lane. Urebko's got his second best, and the Bulls, Steve, 5th in defensive efficiency last season.
And Thibodeau, knowing him, he's probably unhappy with that ranking. This team is so disciplined and hardworking. They always have a chance to be the best defense in the league.
The Bulls have gotten only 1 of their first 6 shots to fall today. Noah, and he drops in the layup off the glass.
They've done well at taking advantage of some late defensive rotations and getting the ball into the paint.
Yeah, they've been the aggressors, Clark, and getting the ball inside into that lane area has been huge for them.
Urebko can't get it to go.
That was a layup, and you've got to knock that down. You've got to convert when you get those opportunities.
Well, Luol Deng, originally from South Sudan, his family moved to London when he was a teen, and then for him, on to the United States, a worldly player for sure, and he's been involved in a lot of causes, both here in the U.S. and internationally.
And going back to Deng, so active off the court, helping Sudanese refugees, Basketball Without Borders, numerous charities. He says his parents instilled him with that kind of thoughtfulness.
Yeah, and he's also championed a lot of causes in the UK, campaigning to maintain funding for the British national team. Deng is passionate, both on and off the court. You just love his approach to the game and to life, Kevin.
Good point. Bulls making a switch here. Boozer's checked in.
You know, never easy to come back from a torn Achilles, but Chauncey Billups did a pretty nice job of doing so last year after the Achilles shelved him for most of the 2011-12 season.
The Pistons making a change here. Monroe's checked in. And going back to Chauncey, he played 22 games last year, but it was amazing if he was able to come back at all.
And, Kevin, it helped that he was on a team where he almost never had to be the primary ball handler. That would have put a lot more pressure on that Achilles. But even though he moved okay, his numbers were down, and you have to wonder how many more years he has left.
For Chicago, they've gone 7 of 8 from the field to start the game. Very hot shooting. And the whistle blows. It's going to be on Charlie Villanueva. That's his first foul of the game, and the bonus will go to the free throw line.
Bulls had won the Central each of the last 2 seasons, but were unable to make it 3 in a row as the Pacers grabbed the Central Division title last season. Still, considering the injuries, the Bulls had a good run.
And that trip coming up empty, missing both. And back to the Bulls. They went 9-7 in division last year, Steve, and kept pace with the Pacers for a while for the title, but never could really close the gap.
Seems like the Bulls are always in the mix for the Central Division title. I mean, since the realignment in 2004, the Bulls have never finished in the bottom of this division, and more often than not, they're in one of the top 2 spots.
One of the problems for the Pistons last season was they always seemed to come out after halftime flat. Just couldn't sustain the kind of intensity and focus needed to win consistently. That was a big part of why they had such a tough year.
Here's Billups after Carlos Boozer's score. Mike Dunleavy is going to pick up the foul. That's his first foul of the game, and the bonus will go to the free throw line. Well, going back to the Pistons, the third quarter for them was by far their worst scoring quarter. Several points lower than any other quarter they played in, and with the sample size you get over the course of a season, that is no accident.
Well, you know, what you think about now with a team like this is that if it's young, maybe they're not used to the tweaks and the adjustments that other teams are making at them over the halftime break. So this is an area for improvement for this Detroit team.
And Kirk Hinrich picks up the foul. That's his third foul so far. Bonus situation in effect, so we'll head to the free throw line for 2.
When you think of the Detroit Pistons, you always think back to some of the big powerhouse championship teams of the late 80s or early 2000s when they won titles as well. They've always been a team to contend with, but fans are being put through a pretty good test here as they rebuild.
Hinrich, right side. And Chauncey Billups gets the whistle that time. That's his first foul of the game. In the bonus, we'll go to the free throw line. Another season for Detroit and another year that their fans would like to forget. Steve, they were one of the younger teams in the league last season, and you can expect a team so young to take some lumps.
Oh, for sure. But there's some good young talent. Monroe, Drummond, of course, they signed Josh Smith, and this is a team that has plenty of ability. And they're trying to put it together now this year.
Lays it up and banks it in. Phillips has got 6.
The number of points they've scored in the paint already today is pretty eye-opening, Steve.
No, it's off the charts. It really is. And defensively, I mean, they have to start shutting down some of those lanes to the hoop.
And Carlos Boozer gets the whistle that time. So that will be his second foul of the game. We're in the bonus 2. Pistons have shot the ball pretty well from the line, going 8 of 11.
Well, you look at last season's numbers, guys, down below 70% as a team from the line.
And, you know, whenever they get into a stretch where it looked like maybe they would turn it around at the line, they would immediately take a step back.
Already his second foul. He's in danger of getting into very serious foul trouble early in this game.
People have talked about the defensive renaissance in Chicago as a big part of their turnaround, and that's accurate. Thibs has done wonders for this team defensively, but another aspect is that they've had one of the deepest benches in the league the past few years, too.
Everybody on the floor is hot. Incredible stuff here in the early stages.
Tell you what, downhill. Who's going to blink first?
Hinrich with it. Billups picks him up defensively. Hinrich passes to Gibson. And a great assist by Hinrich as that one goes in. Gibson's got himself on the board with 3 there. Pistons leading by 4. 2 seconds separating the shot clock and game clock. Here's Billups. It's stolen by Dunleavy. And here we go, the Bulls fast break. And Hinrich gets it to go.
You know, there's no fear out of him, guys. I mean, going straight to the hoop against a much bigger defender, he's got a lot of heart.
Here's Singler. The feather touch on the finger roll. Beautiful. Singler's got his first bucket of the night. Here's Hinrich, and the layup falls. The 3 from Billups. The first quarter all wrapped up, and it's been an exciting game so and so far it's been a closely contested game as we get the second quarter up and going. And let's take a moment, guys, to get your take on the scoring so far for the Pistons.
A lot of time they've been spending at the foul line so far, guys. They'll take those points all game long if they can get them.
Yeah, and I've noticed also that their quick hands have led to a lot of forced turnovers. They're getting some points in transition as a result.
Guys, Derrick Rose is a native son of Chicago, and he grew up in the dangerous Inglewood neighborhood, the youngest of 4 brothers. But from very early on, his talent for the game was apparent. And those older brothers of his, they shielded him and protected him like an ember of hope for the entire family, and he certainly has allowed his light to shine brightly.
Let's check out what Doris Burke has for us.
Hi, gentlemen. Well, Josh Smith with over 4 assists per game last season, good for first among power forwards. Smith said, quote, "I like passing the basketball. People want to get rewarded." Guys, Smith is such a versatile big man. No surprise to see him richly rewarded with his new contract this season.
And Doris, with his great passing, he can punish teams who might double team. Good stuff, thank you. And Clark, you know, back to Rose, the city of Chicago, as you expected, has embraced him. You know, it's interesting, Steve, to be a high pick, but drafted by your hometown team. The pressure there is pretty interesting.
I love at the United Center when they introduce him, they just say, from Chicago, and Derrick Rose. But, you know, with all the attention he gets, he's a very private and reserved person. Has a lot of respect amongst his teammates because he just handles himself with such class.
Josh Smith is checked in for Detroit.
This game has been very close in a lot of areas, but rebounding is one thing that they've been able to dominate.
Yeah, they've chased down that pumpkin often. That's his second personal foul. If he gets another, it probably puts him on the bench for the rest of the first half.
Charlie Villanueva's checked in for Kyle Singler. Now here's Villanueva. And it's Dunleavy with the rebound. Rose kicks to Boozer. Bulls moving the ball around. Out of bounds. Detroit takes possession.
I'll tell you what, wandering aimlessly out of bounds like that might earn him a ticket to the bench.
So for the Pistons, Andre Drummond comes in for Greg Monroe. And it's Jennings in for Caldwell Pope. And here we go. Dunleavy heading to the hoop. Hit his foot. And it's being called a kickball. Chicago calls timeout. And during the timeout, both coaches getting a chance here to review the strategy at this point of the game along with the discussions. Also some rehydration going on with Gatorade. Everyone trying to bring their top game here tonight.
Yeah, that's why you see the trainers going around to every player, making sure they're hydrated, they're getting enough to drink during the game. It's so important to hydrate yourself and keep yourself strong and ready to play for these big minutes down the stretch.
Here's Rose. He's got 9. And again, Chicago, no good.
Well, it's easy to see the effect that Derrick Rose has on the team when you look at the stats for the Bulls offensively last year. You know, this is a team that prides itself on defense, but without Rose, they really struggled to shoot and score efficiently all season.
Count the bucket. Smith's got his first basket. Bulls trail by 5. The dish to Dang. Outside Rose. Puts the lead pass in front of him. And that one's good. Clark, as you said about the Bulls, their effective field goal percentage was second lowest in the league, and it was definitely hurt by not having their superstar point guard and Derrick Rose, Steve.
Well, you think about what he does for this team, you know, now that he's back healthy, I mean, breaking down defenses, creating shots in transition, making a shot at the end of the shot clock. Those were all things the Bulls missed last season.
The Bulls have gotten off to a rough start here in the second quarter, going just 1 for 5. And fouled hard that time. He'll get to the line and shoot 2. It goes on Brandon Jennings.
You know, with all of the improvements in medicine and also the advances in rehabilitation after torn ACL surgeries, we've seen a number of players come back to be as good as they were before the injury. Derrick Rose's fans had to be feeling good about what level he would return at when he came back.
Well, back to the ACL repair for Rose. Clark, great to see modern medicine extend players' careers and help them return from those tough injuries. Steve, it's been terrific watching these players come back. Really didn't see Rose last year, certainly. I expect this year he'll be terrific.
Well, it's so great to see Derrick Rose back on the court after missing last season. One of the most explosive, entertaining players in the NBA. A great guy, terrific team leader. The NBA needs Derrick Rose, so fun to have him back. And the most striking thing about him, Kevin, is just how strong he is. He plays the game so physically. He may not be the most skilled guy, but he plays with a burning passion.
And he gets after it hard, Steve. If there's even a chance he could get to a loose ball, he'll throw himself right at it.
Billups with the ball, and Rose picks him up defensively. And Billups gets it to go.
You know, they're being very one-dimensional right now, going to the post every time. But if it works, you don't need another dimension.
Well, they're taking this defense to task, quite honestly. Every one of their last 10 points have come in the paint.
And let's now go to the sideline. We'll catch up here with Doris Burke. Doris?
Gentlemen, last season it seemed there was a little back and forth between head coach Tom Thibodeau and the Bulls front office regarding the big minutes he gave his starters. Thibodeau said, quote, "It's never the right amount of minutes. That's the only thing I know. If a guy's not playing big minutes, it's not enough minutes. Then if a guy's playing big minutes, it's too many minutes. So you play to win. That's the whole thing. And when you're a young team, guys can handle minutes. But guys, both Dang and Noah missed significant time. Noah only playing 66 games in the regular season. Dang out through the last 7 games of the playoffs. You wonder if maybe they have a point.
They've worked to round out the roster. That should help those minutes stay down.
And not to be overlooked about Luol Deng. He's one of the elite perimeter defenders in the NBA. He's got tremendous size and length, lateral quickness, and boy, does he play with tremendous effort and focus night in and night out. He's one of my favorite guys to watch work.
Now, here is Monroe. He has 6.
Defensive foul. Shooting in Chicago.
And he can't get the first one. You talk about Dang's effort and toughness. Easy to see why he's a favorite of Bulls coach Tom Thibodeau.
Yeah, he guts it out. He plays through pain. Bad hamstring, torn ligaments in his wrist. Remember last year in the playoffs, he had the issue with the spinal tap. Just such a tough player and perfect fit for the Bulls.
Here's Gibson after the made shot from Caldwell Pope.
He would have been lucky to knock that shot down.
Yeah, that kind of shot will definitely get you the high brow from the coach and maybe get you a seat on the bench, too.
Carlos Boozer's checked in for the Bulls. Knocked away. And Monroe kicks to Drummond. Drops in the layup for 2. Drummond's got 5 now.
That is some real serious dime dropping there. Exquisite assist. Well, Detroit has always been one of those teams you think of when it comes to franchises that epitomize the rough and tough Eastern Conference. Always look to be a tough defensive team, and they might not have the flashiest players, but they have some of the toughest, no doubt.
And Clark, as you said, the Pistons were strong against the rest of the East last year. Didn't give away too many games, and 25 of their 29 wins came against Eastern opponents.
Yeah, they took advantage of the weaker conference for sure, but it just shows you how much growth they have ahead of them, because in order to get to the playoffs, they're going to have a good record against the West as well.
Rejected by Jennings, but they'll get another chance. Dunleavy for 3. Detroit with the rebound. Singler's got his 4th rebound in this one. The drive by Monroe. Nice D from Dang.
Great job defending the hoop there.
So important to have good presence defensively inside.
Offensive rebound, Butler. A second chance effort. Tries yet again. Shots good by Boozer. Boozer's got 6.
You know, that putback's about as easy as it's going to get. You have to put a body on someone down there.
Well, no box out. That's the result you get right there.
Bulls trail by 4. And oh, here we go. Dunleavy's got it. The fast break chance. Good. Dunleavy's got his first points of the game. The Pistons have gone 6 of 13 so far from the field here in the second quarter. Here's Drummond. And the shot is good. And the Pistons lead by 4.
Nicely done. They just continue to dominate inside. That's 10 points in a row in the lane.
It's now purely here it comes. See if you can stop it.
4 on 3 as they bring it up. Caldwell Pope passes to Singler. And it's Dunleavy with the rebound. Dunleavy's got 3 rebounds now in this one. And there's Carlos Boozer on the assist by Butler. And it's 8 points for Carlos Boozer. The Pistons have gone 7 of 15 from the field here in the second quarter. Just under 50% shooting. And Kirk picks up the foul. That will get him his 4th foul of the game. That'll be a 5-second call.
You know, they've done a lot of things right in this game, but one thing they have to improve on is their ball security.
They've been lucky. They've had a lot of turnovers, but some of those mistakes just haven't come back to haunt them. But that could change in a hurry.
And here's Smith. Here's Urebko. Second chance shot. And the bucket counts. And he's on his way to the free throw line. Try to make it a 3-point play.
That's some tenacity inside, battling for the second chance points.
And he's got his first chance at the line here. He knocks it down, but wait a minute. The officials are getting together. They may want to review this one.
And the situations where the call doesn't have a direct effect.
And now, brought to you by Sprint.
And it's been
The Sprint Halftime Report, presented by Sprint.
Welcome back, everybody. The start of the second half getting underway. Both teams battling hard through the first half. A fantastic game from Derrick Rose in this one.
And all of a sudden tonight, he's become their big assist man. I mean, his passing was the key to their offense in that first half. Not something you always see.
And that's not a role he usually plays, and one I'm not sure he's comfortable in, but they've needed him to make some plays today, and to his credit, he's done it. Noah once again had a really solid season, but his field goal percentage numbers dropped from where they had been the past few years. I think part of it was not having Derrick Rose on the floor, and then also he was hurt. Plantar fasciitis bothered him some, but not having Rose, I think, led to Noah forcing the issue a bit.
On defense, the Bulls, they trail by 6. And that's out of bounds. Detroit will retain possession. Here's Monroe. And that one hits back iron. Well, and speaking of Noah's dip into his finishing numbers, you wonder if his injuries played a part in that.
Yeah, Coach Thibodeau rode him pretty hard. A career high in minutes. In fact, second most per game among centers in the NBA last season. Remember, he had a foot injury during the playoffs. He's always had some health issues, but he's battled through them.
Are you surprised that he's become the warrior that he's become in the NBA?
Not really, Kevin. He was a winner at Florida, a guy who loved to play. He's got a lot of passion for the game.
Well, guys, I love the growth that Greg Monroe has shown in his first 3 years in the league. It's been slow and steady, but that's the kind of player you can build around, consistently getting better and highly skilled.
You know, this is a common problem for them, their inability to consistently knock down their free throws.
So he picks up just 1 from the line that time. And for Monroe at 6'11", he's a bit of a tweener between power forward and center. And he said he's comfortable playing at either position.
That's a great thing to have, that type of versatility on the front line, because you know that teams are going to break down a little bit, get in foul trouble, have injuries. So you have a guy who gives you that kind of flexibility. It's a huge asset.
And for those of you turning in, we're about a minute into the second half. Noah dishes to Boozer. That drops. Boozer's got 10 points.
Good job creating an easy bucket there.
The try by Monroe. Smith with it. Butler covering. And the foul on Derrick Rose. That's foul number 2 for him. On defense, the Bulls,